Mom stood frozen in the hallway. For a second, just a split second, I saw her mask slip, her jaw went slack, and genuine terror flashed in her eyes, not for me, but for the reality of the situation. Then, like a shutter clicking, the narcissism rebooted. "Oh my God," she shrieked, throwing her hands up. "It was a performance, I told her. I told her not to play with those sharp things. She never listens. Harper, get up." "Ma'am, step back," the officer barked, his patience vaporized by the smell of death. "Do not enter that room. This is my house." Mom yelled, though her voice wavered as she caught a full whiff of the air flowing out of my bedroom. "She's doing this to seek attention. Look at her, holding her breath." Dad peered over Mom's shoulder, his face the color of old ash. He didn't speak. He stared at the box of straws on the floor, the box I had seen earlier, the one that had cracked open to reveal the truth. He saw the spill of short straws. He knew. "Brenda," Dad croaked. "Shut up. Don't you tell me to shut up. This is her fault. She." "Ma'am, you are under arrest for child endangerment and obstruction," the officer said, grabbing her wrist. The click of the handcuffs was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. "Get off me. Bella. Bella, tell them. Harper is just playing a game." Bella was pressed against the living room wall, clutching her new princess dress. She looked at the dark doorway, then at Mom being manhandled. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she looked annoyed. "Does this mean we aren't going to the movies?" Bella asked. The silence that followed was louder than Mom's screaming. Even the police officers stopped and stared at the 10-year-old girl who was more concerned about a movie than her sister's rotting corpse. I floated lower, hovering right in front of Bella's face. "I'm dead because of you," I whispered. She shivered, rubbing her arms. "It's cold," she whined. "They took my body away in a black bag. I watched them zip it up over my face. It was strange. I didn't feel attached to the meat and bone anymore. My tie was to the house, and to the people who had made it a hell." Forensics swept the room. It didn't take them long to find the smoking gun. A young tech in a hazmat suit picked up the broken box of straws with a pair of tweezers. He frowned, tilting it under the light. He poured the contents into an evidence bag. "Hey, verify this for me," he said to his partner. The partner looked. "All of them?" "Every single one," cut short, scissor down. The tech shook his head, looking around the filthy room, the stained mattress, the lack of toys, the contrast to the princess palace that was Bella's room down the hall. This wasn't a game of chance, this was a setup. I felt a surge of energy, a cold static electricity prickling through my spectral form. They know. Mom and Dad were in separate interrogation rooms at the precinct. I decided to stick with Mom. I wanted to see her squirm. She was sitting at a metal table, her makeup smeared, looking more indignant than guilty. A detective, a woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense bun, tossed a plastic bag on the table. It contained the straws. "Explain the game, Mrs. Vance," the detective said. "We draw straws, it's fair, rules are rules," Mom said, crossing her arms. Harper was just unlucky, she had bad karma. "Bad karma," the detective repeated flatly. "Mrs. Vance, we examined the box. There were 50 straws in there, every single one was a short straw. There was no winning condition for Harper, ever." Mom blinked. For the first time, she couldn't bluster her way out. She licked her dry lips. "Well, I bought a defective box. That's the manufacturer's fault. You should arrest them." "And the week she spent decomposing in her room?" "The neighbors heard you screaming at her through the door while she was dead. You told her to stop bulking and own her bad luck." "I thought she was sulking." "She's a dramatic child. She died from a puncture wound to the jugular, a wound she sustained while you were in the room, according to your husband's statement. He said you slapped her, she fell, and you walked out." "He's a liar," Mom screeched, slamming her hand on the table. The lights in the interrogation room flickered. I concentrated, pulling all the cold rage from the bottom of my soul. I didn't want the lights to just flicker, I wanted them to burn. Pop. The bulb above Mom's head exploded in a shower of sparks and glass. She screamed, covering her head. The room plunged into darkness, save for the emergency